broadcasting live from our studio in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. My next guests are an indie rock band that carved out a memorable path through the Midwest music scene in the mid-90s. They formed in 1994, they toured extensively, released 2 full-length albums, and broke up about 4 years later. The band was only active for a short time. They did get together back in 2004. They've reunited for a couple appearances. You've got one more chance to see them. I'd like to welcome the members of Cookie Bug to Fox Cities Core. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing all right.
Excellent.
Good to see you, Andy.
So you guys have been not together for quite some time. I mean, Steve and Dean, you guys are in projects together like Redshift Headlights, and you've done things like that. But as far as getting Cookie Bug back together, how has it felt to get the band back together?
It's been really fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of exercise, that's for sure.
So again, talking about that Topsoil to TRS show, what a phenomenal event that they put on there. And it was one of those shows that if you weren't there, it's kind of hard to explain the energy that was there. And just the people from the music scene that were playing and not playing, it seemed like the scene really showed up for that.
It was mad. I don't want to say it was magical. I can't believe I started to say that.
You took the word out of my mouth.
It was magical. It was awesome. It was an awesome day. It was amazing people. You walked in and you saw just people you hadn't seen in 20 years.
But also it spanned generations. Like,
yeah.
It was great. Like, it was like JJ, the godfather of Oshkosh rock or whatever, passing the torch down to some of these other bands. And then they had some of the newer young bands playing. Smoke Free Home and
Generation Y, I think, played.
Yep, Generation Y. So it was great.
And it's the whole feeling there. Like, were you nervous before doing all this that people would show up? Did you know that this was going to turn into what it did?
I personally had faith. I thought it was going to be a big show. So, and I'd say we accomplished that. Quite a few people.
I wish I had Matt's confidence because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we played too many shows where nobody shows up. So it's like, there's always that in the back of your mind.
And sometimes we long for it anyway. So we're like, it's no pressure. But
nobody's there.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry.
But it was really great, and it was really fun and all the bands were fantastic. And Jeff DeGooey played 6 or 7, I think 6 sets.
6 bands.
6 bands.
Mm-hmm.
So he played for basically 2.5 hours. Is that what that comes out to, or something? 3 hours? He was a hero. He carried the whole thing in some ways, but it was like going back through bands that I hadn't seen. So a couple of bands I had never seen, and bands I hadn't seen in 30 years too, particularly Moral Disgust. I'd missed some of the reunion shows that they'd done over the last 30 years. So it was just, I'm still a little lit up from it.
I think seeing some bands like Moral Disgust, like I've heard the name, but actually being there to see them perform it gets you kind of out of just hearing the name, and now I can put like an image in my head of the band playing and what they sound like, and it was really cool to see the old and the new mix, and just again all the people that came out from the music scene that were at Fletch's that night.
Absolutely. And Gross Rama with Chris Bongers, who flew all the way from Spain to come and play Mark Hillstrom's amazing drum parts, and he did an incredible job on those songs. And he fronted the money and worked out the distribution in Europe for the Gross Rama vinyl. So that's just like an exciting new thing that now exists in our record collections. And just to kind of like have that come to full circle at that show was great. So
who came up with the idea to have Cookie Bug play?
Well, there's a lot of sausage making going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff reached out to all of us individually, and I went through all the bands that had some sort of connection to Topsoil, and I'm thinking like, how easy is it going to be to get these people together? They haven't, and how much time do we have? Because by that time it was probably a month, and I'm like, I don't know if they can pull this together. So I kind of passed on everything, and then Steve was poking around.
I'm like, if you don't want to do it with one of your bands, then maybe we should try something that some other band were in. And so we weren't going to do the Willis because our bass player passed away. And so I was like, well, what about Cookie Bug? Do you think we can pull those up-tempo numbers off? And so we floated the idea. I didn't think Matt was going to be able to make it up because he's so far away. He's in Missouri. And so
Kansas City.
And
he's
so
kind of the wild card.
Yeah. And he's like, I think I could maybe carve out some time. Let's talk. And so we got it going. And once you were on board, it was like, okay, if we're going to play a 4-song, 5-song set and you're going to come all this way, let's figure out a way to make this, probably our last show. I mean, not probably. At the time it was maybe probably, but I'm not going to do this again. These up-tempo numbers when I'm 60, I can barely play them now in my, my age. So, let's do a final show. Let's do it. And so, Matt's been here for 2 weeks now, and it's been awesome hanging out. We've been practicing. We've been doing little kind of appearances here and there, doing weird things like that, which has been fun. That's cool memories we're making, doing stuff like that. And it's now we're going to play our final show this Friday.
Yeah. To me, it's very cathartic because it's been a long time since I've, played with these guys, and it's kind of overdue. We maybe, floated some ideas about getting together previously, and my schedule hadn't really worked out. And so things worked out the way then we hit play and started learning the songs the slow, hard way. So
when that much time passes, is it something that you do have to go back and some of that has to stick around as muscle memory?
It does, but definitely there's been some back and forth about, okay, what were we doing here, what not. So there's a lot of complexities in that music, and so you have to really kind of hammer down. I think they all can concur with me on that one.
For sure.
Totally. Yeah, some of those songs I kind of played solo acoustic a little bit over the years, and in that time they've kind of morphed, and so my chords were different. And so we had these moments where we came together and Dean's like, that's not the chord. And Matt's like, that is not the chord. And I'm like, I like it. I'm tone deaf. It's fine for me. So that's been an interesting kind of getting back to some of those nuts and bolts.
And Matt, how long did it take to get you on board to come here from Kansas City?
There was kind of some question mark, and I basically put out a statement, said just sleep on it for a couple of nights. I think that's always a good idea before you jump into anything. And, when we got back and everyone kind of lined up and said, yeah, let's just go for it. And we're here we are.
And you've been here for 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning. I know that the lineup for Cookie Bug changed over time, but you guys got together in 1994. And from what I understand, you recorded 4 songs the day you formed the band.
Yeah. So before this band, I had just started learning to play guitar, and so I kind of got some friends together and said, "Hey, do you guys want to try to play these songs? I'm trying to learn how to write songs." And so we called the band Cow, and in that band is when I met Todd. So we can kind of go back to that. But the day we became Cookie Bug, the night before we'd played a show with Crayon Black, right before Crayon Black moved out to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And I had a tendency to jump into Todd's drum set a lot, and that drove him a little mad. And I'd break stuff, like I just dive into it for no reason. I wasn't as mature as I am now.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's rock and roll, baby.
And so I jumped into it, and you were mad at me, and then other people were like, "That's stupid." And so 3 people quit, and then but we had a recording session the next day, and so then both you and Eric Blumerick came back, and so Mark was still in. So we had Buck stayed out. He's like, "I'm not joining Cookie Bug," and so we were Cookie Bug, and we did this 4-song demo with JJ, and the day before he had gotten his 16-track 1-inch reel-to-reel, and he hadn't had time to set it up. So he just plugged it in. It was flat. There was no EQ. He pressed record, and it was the best recording of us that we've ever had. It was just raw and loud and awesome. And so it was kind of just something was in the air that day.
Yeah, it was super fun. There was something in there that day. I don't know. It changes you recording in a place like that. It made me fall in love with the process. Just JJ's a guy like that. As a guy like that, he just kind of makes you want to be a part of it.
And that was this studio was called Garage in the Sky at that point, right?
Yeah, right. That was above mainstream music on the 400 block of Main.
Which is now Jambalaya.
Right, exactly.
And you guys did 4 songs during that. I think 3 were Steve songs and 1 was an Eric song.
Yep.
And then some of those, I think 3 of them made their way to the next album, and Eric's was not included on that. Was that because he'd left the band at that point?
Yeah, there was another situation where I jumped into Todd's drums again, and then both Todd and Eric were done for good. And then Jason Hendricks, Todd's like, that's the last time.
That was it.
And then Todd and then Jason Hendricks, a friend of ours, joined on guitar, and Dean was in. You were in Schaumburg, right? Or?
I was living in Chicago. I lived down there for a couple of years, and I had come back for some reason. I was doing sound for Burnt Toast and Jam, maybe, and then I would hang out at the Cherry and Vine House and hang out with friends and stuff. And I heard the demos, and I was like, oh, I really like this. This is something I could get into. And then I said, hey, if you're looking for somebody, I would join. And I don't know if you said yes right away or what, but
if I didn't, I'm an idiot.
How close were the two of you at that point?
We knew each other pretty well. We knew each other from college. And stuff, and we'd played in.
We were in that musical working. Mm-hmm. So yeah, here and there.
And he was in the Lost Toothbrushes previously. He was the first iteration of Lost Toothbrushes, and that was the Lost Toothbrush house the Cherry and Vine house. So. Yeah, we had history and connection. We were in the UW Oshkosh steel band together too, right?
Oh yeah,
in that.
Yep,
So,
first semester.
So we were in that. There was a lot of intermingling of connections and stuff going on.
So some mutual musical respect going on.
Oh
there.
yeah, absolutely.
So I took Eric Blumrich's place, which I didn't know him hardly at all at the time, and his wife really wanted to hate me for that. And then they met me, and I guess I charmed them.
And you and Eric later got together in Spy vs. Spy.
Yep. Southside Strangler, Spy vs. Spy, The Willis. Yep. We played together quite a bit then.
So when the first album came out, Todd, were you in the band at that point, or you had left? I guess I'm trying to figure out the timeline.
The cassette tapes. So the tape, Metro tape, Todd was not in, and Jason was in. And then so it was Mark Miller on bass, Jason Hendricks on drums, Dean on guitar, and me on guitar. And we did that with JJ. And that was a cool sounding, weird cassette tape with funky songs on it. And we kind of toured a little bit behind that, and we tried to send demos out to places and got rejected by like Sub Pop and all kinds of crazy places. And that was our starting point. And then at some point, Mark Miller had he's an amazing songwriter. So he was writing songs for his band Captain Sunshine. And so he was like, I think I got to pull out a Cookie Bug as a bass player. And so, at that point we were kind of floating. JJ Werner was filling in with us, and we played like at Club de Wash with Jeff Werner.
Club de Wash.
And in Chicago once or twice, and then Matt knows the story. What happened
so basically, I got a hold of Steve's phone from JJ, I think previously, his phone number, and I called him up. I was living in Madison at the time, and I called him up and I said, hey, I want to join the band. And then 2 minutes later, I said, hey, I can't be in the band. And then hung up.
That's right.
And then, then I want this. Well, then Steve said, well, we're playing at Club de Wash. Why don't you come on down? And so I met up with them down there at Club de Wash, and I got the Metro tape, and I went back to learn it and came back up. did some, and then joined the band, did some practices, and we played Club to Wash not too long after that.
Yeah. And with all the quitting that had gone on before, Matt quitting immediately after 2 minutes after wanting to join the band, that he fit. I'm like, you're perfect.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Mark Miller, he said, "What's up, nerds?"
We were name dropping him.
Also, Casey Jones said, "Tell Steve I said hi, and I will buy him a beer next time I see him at Club Tavern in Menasha."
Right on. Hey,
nice.
Casey.
Is that a hangout of yours?
Yeah. You can find Beth and I there almost every Friday. We're there a lot.
So, the sound of Cookie Bug is different if people are familiar with some of the bands that you guys, did after. There's elements of Cookie Bug, the later Cookie Bug. I feel like Redshift Headlights and even Spy vs. Spy, the bands that I'm familiar with. But you guys had it was a punky, aggressive sound, which some of your bands might not be. It might take them off guard if they just hear this old band you're in. Like, what were you inspired by at that point in time?
For me, like kind of MC5 was important to me at that time. As we got like noisier and more kind of DC noise rocky and stuff. I kind of was into like Jawbox and Chavez, and so some of those like tones and overtone kinds of things that they were doing, we started to experiment with. In 4 years, there was kind of quite an arc through, like, from simple do-it-yourself, like, I'm just learning how to play guitar, I know 3 chords, let's write a song around that, to, I don't even know if this is a chord, let's just play this, whatever this sounds like, kind of ideas. So,
well, it sounds to me like especially when Dean joined the band, you guys started doing more guitar interplay off each other, which, you can still hear in the Redshift Headlight stuff. Mm-hmm. When Dean joined, how did that open the doors for songwriting?
Well, Dean's a real musician, and he's also has a great ear and he's a great singer. So it felt like to me it raised the bar in terms of pressure, but also he helped guide the songs to completion. And then you always wrote like amazing riffs that made the song done, right? Like, so like your riff at the end of Fireman, or your riff on Big Business, like those kinds of complex riffs that I could never have written and still can't write. He could just like knock them out right away. So
he's like the noise. I like the hook. So we kind of mesh those together.
And you were a fan of the band before you joined. Was it everything you're hoping it would be?
Yeah.
Was that when you were driving up from Schaumburg for practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to be in the band.
Yeah, I was putting on a lot of miles, so I was definitely interested.
Also, you did the one show in Madison, and you stayed with the band after that, or was that a one and done?
No, that was correct. Then I stayed with them for another 3.5 years, somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah. So the Metro tape came out in 1995, and then within a year we recorded with Matt. So this was the lineup for the CD, which was just titled Cookie Bug, and that was like a 9-song CD with some conventional pop songs, and then we were like experimenting with really weird. There's like 4 unlistenable songs on that record, but we were trying things out. We were 22 or whatever, and so we were just seeing what we could do, and but that's when we really started touring. So then we'd play all around the Midwest. We'd go down to like Gabe's Oasis. We'd go to OK's Corral. So Club to Wash, we played Club to Wash. Then it burned down 2 weeks later. Then we played a couple shows at OK's Corral. Then that one after the last one, it burned down 2 weeks after we were there too. So it was kind of we had lots of cool, fun experiences. We did like an East Coast tour, and we played we went all the way down to like Indiana, and we just kind of went around wherever we could play. We didn't have super stable, we had semi-stable jobs. We could pay our rent, but we were basically going for it. We were at the age where we were just let's go for
See
it.
what happens.
Yeah.
Were you seasoned at that point from previous projects as far as doing tours like that? Or were you figuring out as you went along pretty much?
Yeah, I think we were learning, right?
Yeah.
Seat of our pants.
Yeah.
Dean was more organized with booking things, so I feel like you kind of handled some of that, and you'd give me tasks, or sometimes I'd take over. I worked at a coffee shop, so during the day I could make calls from the coffee shop and call clubs and stuff. But
Back in that day, I was all leaving messages on phone machines. There was no email. So spent a lot of money on long distance calls.
Well, it's like it is hard for younger bands, I think, to realize, like you said, you're making calls at the coffee shop. I mean, some of those are probably long distance and probably scary each time you made one that...
not for me, probably for my employers, it was scary. I didn't ever hear about them. Nobody said anything to me.
At that point, how were you finding out about... Dean, you were doing a lot of the booking. How were you finding out about places to play? Because there wasn't internet. Well, there was, but it was like very, very early phase.
There used to be a magazine that published a list of venues that you and contacts, and you based it off of that. But then you also, talk to other bands and try to, get cozy with other bands and do some trades and stuff like that. So
You need to actually have to look at maps, right? To figure out where this venue was to that venue and then map it out that way.
Especially if you're on a tour, and then figure out, okay, how long will it take to get from here to here, and make sure you have enough time to get there. You had to do that all manually.
Were you guys making money on this tour, or were you sleeping in hotels on floors? Can you tell me a little bit about what the tour experience was like?
We did sleep on some great floors.
Yeah.
Mostly floors.
We pretty much winged it after shows. Something would always open up, kind of like just a magic portal, and then people would say, "Hey, you guys want to, stay over here, place to crash." And so most people were more than willing to open their homes to us or apartments.
Yeah, I think Matt and Todd were really good at making connections, Dean too, and and then get kind of established. And hey, we can go crash at this place or whatever. We'd camp too occasionally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we camped a couple times.
Was that always the last option?
Not necessarily. Sometimes we go and set up camp before the show and then go to the show. Like it depended.
I honestly don't remember staying in a hotel with Cookie Bug
I
at
don't
all.
think we did. No.
No.
Would you want to do that kind of touring today?
No.
Oh God.
No, because I remember going out. We were going out for 2 weeks, and I had like almost $100 from my paycheck. So I had to divide that. I'm like, I have $7 a day for food or something like that, and so it was really like,
For ice cream.
Yeah.
I always had to get an occasional like a drumstick, like if we were in the road and it was hot in the van, because there was not a lot of air conditioning. And Dean would always build these platforms. So our first tour was in a red Astro van.
Yep.
And he built this platform. He was you thought of yourself as kind of a Bob Vila type, and he started making
More of a Tetris guy.
and he'd make this sleeping and we'd trade off when you could sleep in the bunk, and we worked it out just like all young bands do today. We were young too one time.
It's kind of like it's to me it's almost a romantic thought to think back to that time with what you were worried about at the time was probably like, we'll have to work in a week or a week and a half, whereas now, like, did anybody have families at that point in time?
No.
So that nothing to worry about except getting a couple bucks to put in the tank. And did anything happen during any of those tours, that mishaps or anything?
Not a thing.
Everything worked out perfect?
Yeah, it was all great. Nothing we can really talk about. No, we got in all kinds of crazy situations. God, I don't even know what story to start with. We always overdid it. We overdid it a lot at shows. And so getting out of venues and packing out of snowy, slippery steps was always treacherous. I guess one show I remember that some shows we were really good, and that out-of-town shows, but I remember that one show we went to Bloomington, to the Bluebird. And I knew Bloomington from the movie Breaking Away, which is like the 70s movie about like these like bike kids who wanted to race 10-speed bikes in this big bike race, but they were like towny kids, and so they called themselves cutters. So they'd always shout cutters, and so I knew that movie, and there was a scene in that movie. I forget who's in that movie, but there was a scene in that movie where they all go swimming in this quarry. Yeah. And so we went and found the quarry when we got to that town. And I'm like, let's get in, and then I think we shouted cutters or something. It looked vaguely like the Slint record, like we were all like our heads in the water in the quarry kind of thing. And then we went to the venue to the show, and we tried to do this, like we tried to be organized and try to promote it earlier before the show, so we'd stand out there and hand out little playbills or flyers or whatever. Oh, yeah. And then we got to the show, and I forget what the name of the band was, but some band was supposed to close the show, and they were locals, and it was packed there. It was totally packed, and they're like, "We're going to actually play first. You guys can play after." So we're like, "All right, that's cool." So the band before us, they come in, they have all their normal gear, and then they bring in these two big dryers, like tumbler dryers. And we're like, what's going on? So they start playing, and then two people are also in front of these dryers, and they have like all this, like, they have rocks and chains, and they just start throwing that crap into the dryers, and it's just getting louder and louder. And then it's a super noise rock band. And it was insane and amazing. And they mic'd up the dryers. And so we're just sitting there going, well, we're going to go up and strum our dumb guitars after this. And sure enough, everybody left. And, we played to essentially an empty room that was big enough to hold 600 people or something. It was a big room. Yep. So
left with good memories.
Yeah.
That was like a kind of a thing back in the day too, is you'd show up somewhere and bands would start dictating the order, and at the time it probably seemed like, okay, we're going to play later. That's better, right?
Right. We were real naive about that.
I know that, not to go back again to the show at Fletch's, but you guys played later in the day, and you said you were amazed at the people that were still there when you played.
Yeah, it was probably a little bit of had a little flashback.
Like PTSD from back in the day.
And we had to follow 4 Jeff DeGooey projects in a row.
Yeah. Finally, Rebel Waltz opened for us.
Yeah, about time.
So back during this period, what was the scene like in Oshkosh and the Fox Cities? And obviously you're playing with Rebel Waltz. What other bands, what was it like back then?
What was it? Barney's was that the venue we played a lot at?
Barney's kind of our home venue, yeah.
And that was the one we could make some money at that venue to pay for tours and stuff like that.
And I've always got good fond memories of a concert cafe.
Yeah.
And the lounge, the Lizard Lounge too.
The concert cafe was magical, yeah. And the Reptile Palace.
Reptile Palace is like my favorite place to play ever. I love that place so much. It sounds so good in there, even though it's tiny and the stage is small. I just love playing there.
Yeah. We'd play with Rebel Waltz quite often. We'd play with Captain Sunshine, Diesel Creek, which was another band that our old drummer was in. We'd play occasionally with Rock and Bones once in a while. We'd open for cover bands like Hotter Than Hell and Shinebox. So there was a real tension at the time in the early 90s between the dominance of cover bands and kind of just your own music kind of bands. And we tried to navigate that as not very diplomatically. We would be sometimes a little acerbic.
I was actually driving around up here before this interview, went past the old Mongos. Remember that?
Yeah, we played Mongos a lot
in Appleton.
Yeah. Played with Party of Clowns.
Yeah, that's right.
How did that show go? I mean, that had to have some stories.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the one time Andrew Johnson was. This is probably not a flatter. I shouldn't tell this story because it makes me.
You already said his name. Oh boy.
No, it's about me.
Okay.
I'm glad there weren't video cameras back in the day because there were things that happened that.
Yeah, Facebook.
I want to forget.
Yep.
But there was a show, and the first time Andrew Johnson had moved back, he's from Haunted Heads and Shanoski, had moved back from Portland, and we just kind of met each other and reconnected a little bit. He walked into Mongo's, and just as he walked into Mongo's, two kind of I don't know, sorority type. Like, that's super cliche and distasteful that I stereotyped them. But anyway, as they were walking out, I said the something like the mean IQ of the room just went up 8 points or something. I feel really terrible even saying that out loud. But he's like, Andrews told me, that's when I knew I liked you. Not that Andrew thinks that either, but he's not like that either. But he was just like, there was just
sassy.
Yeah, just a sassiness, I guess. And
I think it's okay that you told that because Andrew Johnson said my favorite Steve story. So that I think it's approved.
that besides that and the pretzels, one time I guess I offered him pretzels and he turned them down, and he feels bad for having turned down the pretzels. So there's too much context to fill in there. Don't worry about it.
What kind of pretzels? That's what we need to know.
Yeah, I don't even know. So, yeah, I mean, the 90s are a blur to me. I don't know what kind of pretzels.
Bob Minter asks, is there a cookie bug sticker in the bathroom at Reptile Palace?
I don't know if there is. I don't know that there is.
Probably not anymore.
There was, yeah.
Because they
Since the
redid the
remodel.
bathroom. Was it? It must be a decade ago already. But
Yeah.
I do have a sticker on the side of my speaker cabinet yet.
An original sticker? Mm-hmm. It's nice.
And an original Captain Sunshine sticker.
Yeah, and when we were in Minneapolis with Redshift headlights last winter, Al Sauer, who was kind of one of our original junior high school fans, gave me an unattached sticker. So I put that on the studio door in my studio. So that's taken. So I can't offer that to the Reptile Palace, but I'll look around.
So Metro comes out, and that's when you did the bulk of the touring? Was during that release?
Yeah, Metro to the CD. Well, somewhere in that range.
Is that around the time that you guys played Shebang?
Yeah.
It was. So anyone not familiar with Shebang, can you tell us what that was?
It was an effort to go big time for the alternative rock scene, and it was organized by kind of some Waterfest people and some Sawdust Days people. So I think Steve Lenz and Tom Gunther were kind of organizers of that, and then somehow we got on board. But like crazy bands played. I can't.
Yeah, like wasn't the Goo Goo Dolls,
played, yeah.
Everclear,
Yep.
the Wallflowers,
Yep.
Triple Fast Action.
Yep.
We played with them at Concert Cafe as well.
How was the experience of playing Shebang?
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember it was really hot.
We were on the B stage. We were on kind of the local band stage, but there was an article that came out that said that there was a band on the main stage, and we started while they were still playing, and the bulk of the crowd came over to us. So you can do your own math on that one.
Do you remember what kind of benefits you got for playing that?
I think $200 or something.
And did you get like free food or anything?
Yeah,
Did you get-
there was a tent that I remember being like, whoa,
Yeah.
actually food.
Yeah, and we got passes for the weekend, so we got to go see whatever we wanted.
That's a pretty big opportunity for a band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. It was great.
And did you get to meet any of the other, like you said, the Goo Goo Dolls were there and Everclear? Did you get to meet any of them while you were there?
Wes Kidd from Triple Fast Action, I talked to him a little bit on before he went on stage, and I think we played the same stage as Citizen King, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, they closed that night or the night.
But we didn't meet any of the Goo Goo Dolls or whatnot.
Didn't Wes make some sort of comment about, does it always smell like this here? Because it was out at the fairgrounds, which is near the landfill.
Yep, I do remember that.
Well, I think Shebang was one and done as far as the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they got the crowd, but then they turned that into Country USA, and that drew enough crowd that sustained for 20 plus years or whatever. But that was essentially the same organizers. So yeah.
And so you kind of mentioned some of your influences back in the start of Cookie Bug. Cookie Bug kind of went through a transformation as you guys are getting better at songwriting together. When you put out the self-titled album, first of all, why did you decide to make the second full-length album self-titled?
Probably laziness.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm guessing we couldn't think of a good one.
Yeah, that could be it. I don't know. I know that was around the time that we were trying to take ourselves seriously. And so we were sending stuff to places, and we were, I think, even though we were maybe uncomfortable with the idea, we tried to explore the notion of maybe trying to find a way to get on a label and like do this more regularly and maybe try to make enough money to live on that kind of pipe dream. So, and so we were, that's what we were kind of after. And maybe that record title was just kind of an introduction or something like this is Cookie Bug kind of thing.
Well, it was all new musicians too at that point from the tape.
Yeah.
So kind of, I don't know, try to establish a new sort of, I don't know, image or something, I guess.
Yeah. And when this group, the four of us together happened, it felt different. This felt like a band.
It was a new DNA.
Yeah.
Was that recorded with JJ again?
Yep.
How did the experience go this time around, since you had a lot of experience with him already by this point?
He was always awesome.
Yeah, he's so great to work with. He's so great.
The sound in the self-titled album seems like it jumped up quite a bit as far as sound quality. Did you guys were you better at recording, or was JJ, did he have different equipment? What's the difference there?
JJ was still really good at recording, I think. So the tape, we did some some technical things to that tape that were intentionally destructive. We did a big scoop of the mids in the tape that made the tape sound thin, kind of intentionally. But if you go back, I eventually found unscooped versions of those songs, and those are actually really full. And so I think JJ was still good. We were better musicians for sure, and we were experimenting a lot more. We did a lot of crazy like layering of synthesizers and like vocals, and did like, even though those weird unlistenable songs are there, they're creative, right? They're like there's a charm to them.
I think you've used like some foil or something for one of the songs.
That's right.
My memory serves me correct.
Oh yeah.
Like you just crunched up foil?
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted timpani on something, and we couldn't get timpani, so I found I took my Yamaha DX100, which had a timpani patch, and we hit it through like a huge bass amp with like a 15 in it, and just went boom. And so we created like simulated timpani, like we were just messing around, like, and if it sounded cool, we're like, okay, that's different. I've never heard that before. Let's try that. So we were really just experimenting, and then, so after that record, then I think we started to think, okay, there were things we learned from that record. And then I feel like we, decided to really, really write a good record, I think, even better maybe. And at that point, you kind of started, you were left, I think, right? Is that when, your family started and everything?
Yeah.
So after that record, Todd kind of left, and we were lost. We didn't have a drummer. And then we had different people kind of fill in here and there. And then Eric Gunderson joined, who is an amazing drummer. Did you introduce us to Eric?
That's right. He was living in Appleton at the time.
Yeah.
And I met him playing at an open mic, some blues, and
Right.
I got his number, and I said, well, here's a guy. Let's bring him in. Tried him out. And sure enough.
Yeah, and he has a cool feel, but he changed the sound of the band in a different way. So everybody, like, it's amazing how one musician comes in and the whole something changes. And that was a really cool period. And that's when we tried to write and record what became our Lost record. And I think that was going to be like our Pet Sounds. At least in my mind, I was like, this could be our Pet Sounds. And I was homeless that year. So I wasn't we had a little 10 by 10 studio up in the Webster building, and I didn't have a house. So I didn't have an apartment. So I was living up in that 10 by 10 place, and just basically all night, almost every night, just up there writing and demoing stuff. So it was a really creatively fertile time for me. But I was also a mess. And like, we were I was like feeling the pressure, like, let's really do this. Lots of personal changes in our lives. I think you met Susan by that point. And so like, there were just like, life was changing us. And Eric only lasted in the band for like 9 months, I think, and then he was gone, and then we were kind of floating, and then we did then we found Eric Olson to help us re-record all those songs because we never finished that lost record. And one day we went in and recorded those songs, like 8 or 9 songs or something with Eric Olson, who brought a totally different thing too. He's a super like fluid, churning kind of drummer, and that changed us again. So,
and he came out to North Carolina with us on a tour.
Yeah, that's right. That was our final tour and our final show then with him.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you feel the band was starting to get to the point where it was going to end?
Probably that Lizard Lounge show. I would say that was kind of, and it just kind of, when it's, everyone went their own way. I mean, I graduated, I went to graduate school, and Steve went on to get his, PhD, and everyone goes in different directions. And, and here I am, it's full circle.
Yeah. Was there an actual event that happened? I don't recall. Like, did we just say, we're done? I don't even remember like a discussion about it.
No.
So on that like video that Eric's brother shot at our final show at the Reptile Palace, and that was like August 1998. You go around and you interview people, and there's a moment where JJ says something like, "Well, I guess this is the last one. This is history." And so there must have been something that somebody said. Maybe I'd mentioned like, "I think we're done," or somebody else, And so I think there was something in the air that maybe this would be it. I don't know who initiated it, or what. I mean, to be honest, I could have said something, or any of us could have just felt it.
It kind of just ended naturally. Really, no heart, no ill will, and it just kind of how a lot of bands just, peter out.
It's interesting because you've been doing really good at putting stuff on the Cookie Bug.
That was
Facebook
all for you.
page.
I wanted to have a document for you so you're like, okay, I can. Because there's no material about us anywhere, like because it was
You did really good at that, and you posted a picture of the Lost album, and at the bottom you wrote Redshift Headlights. So you said you didn't know if that was going to be the name of the album, but did you know that was on there before you rediscovered it?
Well, I had remembered that one of our songs was called Redshift Headlights. So there's that, I don't even remember, it's this really weird, noisy song, but it's really a cool song. And Dean has an amazing part at the end. And that song was called Redshift Headlights, but I'd forgotten that the title of the record was maybe Redshift Headlights. And I don't even know where that came from. Like I probably watched a Carl Sagan show and found out what a redshift was or something.
I think that was it, actually.
Was it? Yep. Okay. That might be it. So yeah, and so that always sat in the back of my mind as like an interesting name, and I guess then eventually it came back.
When did you actually put out on Bandcamp the unreleased album?
I think I just did that this year, didn't I? Did I just post that? I think I just within this spring. I think maybe it was right around the time we knew we were going to do this, because I'm like, well, if we can, people can hear this stuff, maybe that'd be cool, and maybe we could generate a little bit of extra expense, revenue and stuff like that. So
it's pretty cool that an event like this 25-year anniversary show can kickstart a band like Cookie Bug that you guys hadn't played in 21 years. You guys are all of a sudden back together playing again. This album of unreleased music comes out. Does this spark the interest in keeping it going? I know you said that this show coming up is the last final Cookie Bug show, which is something you said 21 years ago. But, does this, to have something like this here that you can do, how easy is it to just walk away and say, this is it for this?
I'll just say never, but this is the last show ever.
Did you compose that at High Cliff today?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. He was hanging out at High Cliff. Yeah, no, this is the last show. But I am definitely feeling nostalgic and, wispy and kind of, sometimes I'll be a little emotional at practice, and I haven't wept yet openly, but we've got a lot of memories together. Even though it was 4 short years, they were like formative years, and they were important years to us, and we were the time. It was the time in our life when we aspired to something in music, and I don't think any of us have regrets about how things turned out, but remembering those aspirations is kind of rich with emotion. So
you posted some great rejection letters onto the Facebook page. You had one from Summerfest, Sub Pop Records. There's just they were fun to read. Is it fun to go through that again and kind of see, find some of the places you got rejected from back in the day?
Yeah, and that's just a fraction of what we had. There's somewhere there's an archive of other stuff, but that's what we could find. But yeah, like the Sub Pop was awesome because the Sub Pop one is like, this. I forget how it starts. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it's like this is a. Dear, it opens with its salutation is "Dear Loser," and then it goes from there and tells us that we're not picking your stuff. And then at the end, just to make sure that the people who are not astute at interpreting information from a form letter, it says this is a form letter, and otherwise known as a rejection letter. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're probably excited. You get an envelope from Sub Pop. So it says, thank you for sending your demo materials to Sub Pop for consideration. Presently, your demo package is one of a massive quantity of commendable material we receive every single day at Sub Pop World headquarters and is due to time and volume restrictions on its way through the great lower intestine that is the talent acquisition process. We appreciate your interest in Sub Pop and wish you the best in your pursuit. Kind regards. This is a form letter. This letter is what is known as a rejection letter.
Yeah.
Oh, and it does start out "Dear Loser."
Yeah. Yeah, and we got lots of stuff like that. And I think it's a little bit of a testament to us, just like we didn't give a crap, about that. We were like, we're going to do it no matter what. And, we got all kinds of terrible reviews. We got good reviews too, but we got, I remember one review of our tape was I think it was from Maximum Inc. in Milwaukee. They were like, this band sounds like The Who on a bad day early in their career, and goes downhill from there. That's the most complimentary portion. So, that didn't deter us. Did we quit and break up? No, we kept going. So, I don't know.
Well, I know you also dusted off some old equipment for the first show at the 25-year anniversary TRS show. Did anybody else dig out any old equipment to make it more of an authentic Cookie Bug show?
Yeah, I pretty much used my whole old rig. Same guitar, same guitar amp, same speaker cabinet.
He's got real, you have a real gear though. He's got a 70s Gibson Les Paul that at one of our shows got knocked over so the headstock broke. So it would have been worth I don't even know how much. And then your amazing Jubilee, vintage Jubilee's head, which is Marshall.
I love that thing.
Magic.
So the two of you had skull guitar straps, or they had skulls or something on it. Were those used back in the Cookie Bug days, or were those newer straps?
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to use that strap. Oh. My wife hates that one. I actually got that one in a trade with Mark Miller.
And I don't know where I got mine. So you have one too? I guess I forgot that you
mine's
had one.
Pretty cheesy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not really intentional. I've always had that strap attached to that red guitar, and so that's kind of always been my Cookie Bug guitar, and it's really lasted me 30 years. And, but that strap is part of that. I can't even take it off. It's got one of those things on it, the clip things. So
you guys played with a lot of intensity, and I noticed, Steve, you had a couple times your glasses were slowly sliding down your nose. Yeah. I was just wondering if they were just going to go a little too far and fall off, but you caught it each time.
That was part of the magic of our band, was the drama behind watching my glasses slowly fall off my face, and then everyone's like, "There they go!" So, yeah, I do what I can. It's performance art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, as far as playing with Rebel Waltz, you guys, I know Steve and Dean, you guys got up there with Rebel Waltz for some sing-along stuff. Any chance that you guys would maybe do a little mini tour with the reunited Rebel Waltz?
No, there's not. You're just, I don't know if you weren't listening earlier when you asked us if
I was listening, Steve.
I don't think you were, Andy.
Mark Miller said he was really happy to get rid of that strap.
Sucker.
I didn't think it was that bad, but then I saw Steve, so I thought maybe there was something to it as far as the having the two straps.
It's awesome that you observed that.
And then was there the house kit, or there was a shared drum kit?
That was Mr. Moore's. Yeah, he was nice enough to leave it up there so we could do a quick changeover and just so we could squeeze another song or two out.
Yeah, and you guys did do an extra song or two, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
the fans were clamoring for more, and you guys obliged.
We were just like, well, we need to practice them a little more, so let's go through.
How did you pick the song list for this? Because really, the Cookie Bug was around for only 4 years, but you guys had quite a few songs, especially if you're counting the song that didn't get released on the demo and then the unreleased album.
Yeah, we had about 40 or so total songs, I think, in 4 years, which is pretty good for, young upstarts. And there were more than that, because you had a couple songs that, one we totally finished but we never recorded, and then another one that we started. So we had lots of things that never came together. But yeah, we wrote a lot of stuff, and it's relearning them has been kind of interesting, because we're like, oh yeah, we were kind of, that's a cool exchange there or whatever.
Yeah, there's been some subtle changes, parts. For me, I can say that with certainty. I've changed some things up.
Yeah, you felt like you're kind of correcting some parts that you're like, I don't know if that works as well.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah.
Well, you and Steve played it on the news. I didn't mean to cut in there, but how that experience had to be a little nerve-wracking to kick this whole thing off.
Yeah, we finished it, and we walked away. We're like, let's just pretend like everything is great, and then we get to, and I'm like, Steve sent me a text message. Did you see the show? And I'm like, no. And I opened it up. I'm like, okay, this is all right. So it turned out pretty good, I thought.
Yeah. When you dropped me off, you're like, I don't even want to watch it. So you tell me if it's okay. And I'm like, all right, I'll let you know.
Did you guys watch that at home then?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I was working.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. They did a really good job.
Yeah, so that was cool, a cool experience for you guys too. Another kind of thing out there in the internet. You did an upscaling of a video. We didn't talk much about the music video. 3 locations. Can you tell me about that video quickly?
Yeah, we did. We made a video with some students who are graduating from UWO who shot it on film, and they're friends now who we've known now for much of our lives. Brian Mixig and I'm not as close with that other guy, but I can't remember his name. But he is a great dude too. And they filmed part of it like super slow motion. Had a whole bunch of students like pretending in the globe, which is now Manila, on a dolly, this dolly cam, super slow motion, and I was supposed to pretend like I was eating, and like we tried all these different things, and nothing really, like I was supposed to like mouth the words. That didn't work. So then eventually he's like, well, why don't you just sit there and drink coffee super slowly? So then we did that. And then we did a shot at the Grand Opera House, kind of a live shot. And this was with Eric Olson on drums. And then we went up to their cabin at
I forget where
was it by the Channel Lakes?
Yeah, it was starts with a P. I'll think of the name, but anyway, it was up at Brian's family's cabin, and Brian Mixig's family cabin. And the parents, I guess, we didn't know that, but the parents were there. They were sleeping in like the bedroom. We got there at like 10 at night or something. And they're like, we're drinking beers and we're hammering at this platform that they wanted to like us to stand on. So it looked like we were walking on water basically in the lake. So they had to like measure the lake, and they're like, we built this like 12-foot platform that they then later sunk in the lake. And so we're hammering away and we're getting louder and drinking more. And then we go in and we're playing cards and we're shouting and laughing. And the parents, we didn't know the parents were in there the whole time. They were sleeping. And so they're no longer allow bands ever again at that cabin due to us. But then we shot the next morning, we went and shot that video, and we were all green and standing on this platform, balancing and not feeling queasy.
Good times.
Yeah. And that was for a song called Ornament Orb, which is a song that we may or may not play on Saturday.
How is the set list going to differ from the TRS show to the show coming up?
It'll include those songs and about 7 or 8 other songs. So
an extended set of what people saw.
Yeah. It's going to be an hour-ish show. We're going to try to play as many of the ones that people might remember as we can.
Well, you played my favorite song the other day. Now I'm on.
Oh.
And some good guitar work, some good guitar play going on there.
That's one that Dean wrote an amazing guitar line on. Like, I love that. That's iconic.
Do you guys have a favorite Cookie Bug song? I want to hear each one of your favorite Cookie Bug songs.
For me, probably She's My Buzz.
Damn, he took mine.
Mine used to be Hot Water, but now it's probably Go, which is one of Eric Olson's. That was really fun for me to learn. He plays a lot differently than I do.
We played that the other night too.
Yeah.
You're killing it. It's great.
Fireman, and I really enjoyed you going back to where you talked about the Green Bay acoustic performance. I thought Video Game Getaway acoustic really kind of nailed it. I liked that a lot.
You guys played that as well at Fletch's, right? Or you didn't play that one?
No. Video game?
No, we didn't play video game.
No, it was in the discussion, but we never did do that one.
Dean took mine, so I'll say I'm gonna say Hot Water. That's one. That's just Dean wrote that one, and that's just like one of our great songs. So it's also the only song Dean really ever wrote that he recorded, and like 8 bands have covered it, and they've never covered any of the other songs we wrote. So it's it's pretty awesome.
So there's a lot.
Yeah. It's a classic. It's a great song. So
I know you recreated the Cookie Bug shirt and were selling those. You had to pre-order those. Was there any other merch that you put together for this?
I have I found 9 Virgin CDs. I'm going to bring 4 of them. So we'll sell 4 of those. We've got the poster. So we've got like 15 copies of the poster in nice cardstock. We'll sell a couple of those. I might have 2 Metro tapes I could sell. So,
And I think we have 5 T-shirts to sell.
So if people want to get those, they should get to the Reptile early.
Yep. Hit us up.
Well, again, that's this coming Friday at 6 p.m. And you're playing with Jeremy and the Jupiters, they're doing a reunion as well.
yeah, and that's an amazing Oshkosh supergroup, legendary for their rehearsals, which were fueled by all kinds of things and had a certain magic and discord to them, but the songs are beautiful and the people are beautiful, and that's going to be just a magical set. It's half of Jeff DeGooey's songs and half of Jeremy Helbling's songs. Jeremy's not playing anymore. He's co-owns Mike's Music in Fond du Lac with Andrew Johnson. So this is a kind of an awesome chance to see Jeremy come out of the woodwork again, and hopefully we'll keep him out in circulation after this too. And then the opener is Jeff Mitchell. I don't know what you can say about Jeff. He was a founding member in Field Report in Milwaukee. He toured the country for 3 years, and Jackson Street Polecats with greatness. That record they recorded with JJ at Topsoil Studios is, I think, the best sounding Oshkosh record ever recorded. It's a magical record.
And the fake band Piss Missile.
And
Look it up. It's a video. I think it's on YouTube.
yeah.
It's a great thing about this show. Piss Missile does sound pretty funny. Great thing about this show, if you're used to reptile shows starting at 10, this one is supposed to be over by 10.
Yeah, this is we're of a certain age now, and plus we got to get to the DeGooey's basement by 10:15. So we're going to start the show at 6 p.m. Jeff Mitchell sharp at 6 p.m. Jeremy and the Jupiters sharp at 7. They're going to play 14 songs. They're going to probably play an hour, and then we'll start by 8:30, and we'll play an hour and 10 minutes at the most. But we don't want to leave anything on the field, so we're going to do our best.